To e-file a tax return, once you've completed the entire tax return from the summary page, after you've reviewed everything, you can select Continue. It will then take you to the e-file page where you can mark your return type under Federal Return Type. There is a drop-down box with several options. If you are not providing a bank product, there's a regular e-file or paper file options, and then there are a few bank product options depending on which bank you are approved with and which products you are allowed to offer. So for this example, I have a bank with a regular, just a check bank product. It'll also list the ERO's information. And then you can select Next, and it will have a list of your fees. Now there is an estimated bank check summary. If we select that, it shows the total refund minus all fees. So that includes preparation and bank fees. So if you X out, you can go back to the fee menu and see the list of fees. So depending on the access that the preparer has, as you can see, there is a box around both prepare and electronic filing fees, which indicates that you can highlight and change the fee. But that's only if the preparer has access to do that. Fees can be set up in the configuration menu as a kind of general generic prep fee, minimum maximums, or fee per forms, however you want to set up the software. Electronic filing fee is set up again inside of configuration, and it rolls into the preparer fee. You also have the option to add ancillary products, whether it's audit protection or identity theft protection. And if the customer wants a copy of their tax return emailed to them, you can type in their email address. They have a PIN, it's a 5-digit code with the IRS that you can create. And then you select Next, and it takes you to this state return. So you can select that return type as well. Multiple options again, either submitting it through the same type of bank product, e-filed, paper return, depending on the situation. And then once you are done with that, you select Next again. And it gives you the bank application information is needed for the address and phone numbers. There is a button to pre-populate that address from the tax return. So to save you some keystrokes, just click a button instead of typing. Same thing with the phone number. And then the driver's license, which again, you can click a button to pre-populate that information for you automatically. Submit Next. And then there is a checkbox that indicates that you have completed the 7216 disclosure form, whether or not the customer wants a text from the bank, wants the funds deposit from the IRS, and then also a security question as well. After that, you submit Next. If there is a third-party designee that is asked for and required by the taxpayer, you can enter that information to submit to the IRS also. In the next section, if your state requires an ID, you can fill that out. But again, there's also a button to pre-populate that information from the bank ID that was already entered into the software. Once we have completed this section, we can hit Save. And it will take us to kind of an overview section of the information we've just entered. So as of now, the banks are no longer accepting bank applications. It's almost November, so they've already shut that off. And I do not have a PTIN entered into the software, so there are a couple of warnings. So If the preparer is kind of a data gatherer, they can't e-file the return. So it's just kind of a warning saying, hey, are you sure you want, you need somebody here to submit this return, overlook the return that has an actual PTIN with the IRS. So if we scroll down, if we want to print the return, we have a few options, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 copies, just 1 copy, just signature documents. If you want the invoice by itself to be printed, you have several options there. You also have an option to email the taxpayer, a customer, a email of the PDFs of all the documents, so you don't have to print them off, so it saves some paper, which could be very important, considering most people are not wanting to exchange as much physically and not have to be in your physical presence, so that could be very good. Same thing with the customer portal. There is an invitation inside of the e-file page that can act almost like a DocuSign type of program where they can upload the documents that you need to do their taxes, or just use it specifically to get an electronic signature without them having to come in to physically sign. But if they are in to sign with you, the preparer can sign electronically one time. Inside of configuration setup, you can set that up to where the preparer just does it once and you won't see this again. You'll just see a copy of their signature that will be added to the forms. But if they have not set that up in configuration settings yet, there is a button that is available in the e-file page that will allow the preparer to do that. Overview of some more information from the previous screen, just to make sure everything looks good. And then finally, there is a electronic signature that can be obtained physically, whether you have a signature pad or you just want to allow them to use your mouse, but you can obtain the electronic signature physically, not just through the mobile app or the customer portal. And then a review of the rest of the document, so how much the state refund, federal refund is, what the fees are, and what a subtraction of the fees would be as well. And then from there, if they have a referral, if they're not allowed to e-file the return, there's also a review section. But if you are the person who is allowed to submit and e-file the return, you can mark it complete and then save and exit the return to e-file and submit it. If the preparer is not allowed to e-file the return, they can mark it for review, and someone who has access to the review files and is allowed to e-file the returns could review the return. They themselves could mark it complete to e-file the return from there. And then lastly, again, a print return button at the bottom. So after you've double checked your work, if you feel more comfortable, go ahead and print the return at that point, you can. And then you would simply save and exit the return. Go into the transmission section, and now you can see the return that we have marked complete and is ready to e-file the return. So you can do that one at a time, or you can batch send them all at once. And that is how you e-file a tax return with the software.